Okay, this is the what you're looking at here is the third assessment task for technology. It's the Year 7 food one due on the 22nd of September, which is Monday of week 10. Just having a look here at the 4 assessable outcomes we'll be covering in this assessment task, and below it is the reportable outcomes that it links to that will be appearing on your report. Over the page is the actual task, what you need to do, and at the top here it basically says that you need to follow a design process that you've learnt in class over the last several terms. Follow that design process and produce a folio that has the following headings below. And what I've done is I've made a checklist of all those headings and requirements that I need of you. So for example, title page, which pretty much explains itself. Design brief there has a checkbox, so we need a heading for that. That design brief will be provided to you by your class teacher. It's a standard paragraph that every student will receive, and the section I'll be covering today is analysis of the brief, which has 2 subsections. The first one being identifying and defining some keywords, and the second listing some limitations about the brief. So here's a typical brief. To design, make and evaluate a container made from wood that is suitable for storage of precious items. That would be something similar to the brief you would receive for the jury box. Now we need to analyse that brief, and the first thing we need to do is identify and define some key words, and like I said, then we're going to list some limitations surrounding the design of that box. So let's identify first of all. Identifying is basically pulling out the key words out of that above brief, and if I was to have a look at that brief and pick out some of those key terms, those key words, one of those would have to be design, another would be make, I would have evaluate, I think storage is a key word, precious would also make the list, and container would be my final keyword. Okay, so there's my list of important keywords in the brief there. Okay, there's my 6 words that I've pulled out of the above brief, which has been supplied to me by my teacher. And if we head back now and have a look at our actual assessment task sheet, we have done that first part. We've identified. So we've identified and listed those keywords. Now we need to define them. So let's head back to our document. I've got my 6 words listed down the left hand side of the page there, and I'm going to open up Internet Explorer now. I'm going to open up an online dictionary. So in my search bar, I'm just going to search for online dictionary. Hit search, and I know just from experience that a pretty good one is dictionary.com. So let's head to dictionary.com, and up the top of this website you'll see another search bar, and in there I'm just going to put in our first word. This is our first keyword off our list, and I'm just going to hit search, and it'll go through its database and it'll find all the definitions for that word. So that page loads up now. I'll scroll down, have a look, and there's lots of definitions. Okay, so there's our word design. And if we have a look at the first first definition of the word design. It says to prepare the preliminary sketches or plans for a work to be executed. To plan the form and structure of, i.e. to design a new bridge. Which pretty much sums up how we use the word design in our technology mandatory course. So I like that. So I'm just going to cut and paste that definition straight from our website. I'm going to cut and paste that straight into our Word document. There we go. And now we have a definition of the word design. Now, you can fancy it up like you will. I've just put a table here and just cut and paste it all into a table. It's up to you how fancy you make the presentation of this section. But basically down the left hand column we have all our keywords, and in the right hand column we're going to have our definitions. So I have 6 keywords and 6 definitions, and if we head back to our task and have a look at that first one there, identify and define the keywords, we've done that. So now what we've got to do is list the limitations when designing your product. And head back to our document, put in the heading limitations. Now I don't know what limitations means. So, and it's the main thing what we have to do here is actually list some limitations. So I'm going to head back to that dictionary, and I'm going to go up the top and I'm going to type in the word limitations, or limitation. I'll try that and see what we come up with. Okay, now there's 5 good definitions here, and the second one, it says something that limits, or a limit or boundary or restriction. And I think that's a pretty good definition for design and technology. So it's all those restrictions or limits that we place you under when designing, say, your jewelry box. And some of those limitations might be things like time. Okay, we might restrict you to, say, 10 weeks of working time, or money. You might be restricted to spending so much money on material, or materials in general. We might restrict you to saying using one type of wood. There's going to be lots of limitations, and in discussion with your class teacher you should be able to come up with a good list of limitations. You need to list as many of these things as you can. And once you've done this, you have analysed the brief and you're ready for the next section.